Hello,
Hey, everyone.
hello. Hi, everybody.
Hey,
Thank you. We've really built up the anticipation here today with our panel. I mean, I think we have an all-star cast, so I'm really excited. Thank you all for joining and coming on here. This has been fantastic. So, as Justin said, this is building trust in the trustless DeFi ecosystem. We have about 30 minutes for the panel, so I would love to start off and just get quick introductions, 2-3 lines from each of you, what your role is, and then a line about your company, and then feel free to add in a little bit of a quick brief on your background if you like. Let's start with Reggie. Sorry.
Oh, sure. My name is Reggie. I'm the founder and CEO of Gather Network. We've been around for about 3.5 years or so. Essentially, what Gather is we provide publishers and developers an alternative form of monetization, which includes DeFi applications. So it essentially provides them with another revenue stream on top of what they use. And on the other side, we provide enterprises and developers a cheaper form of compute power and storage, which is also decentralized. Very basic intro.
Fantastic. No, thanks, Reggie. And I should have started off in saying that everyone on this panel are both YFDAI partners or partner clients as well. So I think, that's something to be said here. And obviously, anyone that's in the crypto space knows every one of your names, or at least your company's names, which is fantastic too. Ian, go ahead.
Thanks, Simon, and good to see you, Reggie and Timothea. I think we're all partners one way or another. My name is Ian. I'm the co-founder of Ferrum Network. We've been around since the 2018 bear market. We have since launched 3 successful DeFi products, the most popular of which is our staking as a service business, has about 90 plus clients and probably 50 or 60 million total lock value has gone through those contracts. We also have a anti-bot, a sort of anti-sniper product, which protects communities from getting dumped on by sniper bots. And we're about to launch our cross-chain, multi-chain token bridge, which will allow users to swap between Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Matic, and other chains being added soon. So thanks, Simon, for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And Timothea, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm Timothea, and I'm CMO of Orion. And Orion is a chain agnostic liquidity aggregator. And we're building the decentralized gateway to the digital asset market. So as it stands right now, the market is incredibly fragmented from a blockchain, asset, and an exchange level. So we're building one single portal to the digital asset market, and we're building on almost all major blockchains to aggregate centralized and decentralized liquidity into one non-custodial platform for the first time. But while our flagship product, Orion Terminal, was created predominantly for traders, we also have built a number of solutions on our liquidity aggregator for exchanges, blockchains, and crypto projects, including our Liquidity Boost plugin being used by YFDAI. So this will enable substantial liquidity to any project tapping in to it, and they essentially have access to our order books, expanding their order books, reducing slippage across pairs, aiding their cost effectiveness and improving the overall experience. So looking forward to that going live.
Yeah, fantastic. And you recently had some big announcements for, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago about your AMM, like you said, your pool. That's great.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Great, fantastic. And I'll do a quick intro myself. I am the COO of YFDAI. YFDAI, some of you may have heard my keynote earlier, is a decentralized finance ecosystem built on trust, security, and transparency. That's really in our ethos and our mission. We are a very customer-centric suite of DeFi solutions, including staking, 4 farming pools, as well as our own DEX, SafeSwap, our own automated trading bot, SafeTrade, and our own launchpad as well, which we actually worked with Ferrum Network on, one of our first projects that we launched in digital fitness as well. And so, and then we have more projects, more products coming out here quite soon, quite quickly as well. And a major announcement, coming out this week, we've been announcing as well, new exchanges. So it's gonna be great to announce. But yeah, so getting right into it, everybody. I was going to say that, given that each of your companies have really played a critical role in the advancements of DeFi and really greater crypto adoption as we know it, what are each of your views, I guess, starting with Timothea, on how your company is really working towards the advancements of DeFi as a whole here today and into tomorrow.
Well, firstly, I'm going to start with the fact that I think DeFi has, from a marketing perspective, suffered from a branding point of view, because last year and kind of still remains, DeFi has been synonymous with food coins and overinflationary APRs, when in reality DeFi is so broad. So to us, DeFi means the return of ownership of assets to the end user. So when Orion was concepted, DEXs offering access to crypto in a non-custodial way were growing in popularity, but 95% of liquidity was still held on these centralized exchanges. So this is being redressed, but because of the illiquidity of so many of these DEXs, they're often met with high spreads, high slippage, and so users don't really get to access the space in its entirety. So what we've achieved for the first time is the decentralization of this centralized liquidity. So Orion Terminal users can now trade across the likes of Binance, KuCoin, and many more to come securely from their wallet without ever giving up ownership of their funds, or having to conduct KYC or part with any personal information. So for us, this is a huge first step. And obviously there's a lot more to come. As you said, Orion Pool, which we announced yesterday. And so with the launch of Orion Pool, our AMM solution, we will be the first platform that will allow users to trade across centralized exchanges and swap pools in one decentralized platform. But again, this is still early for us. We're planning to shortly integrate Uniswap and pretty much any exchange that we can, in working to provide a decentralized portal to the industry in its entirety. So,
fantastic. Yeah, Ian, go ahead.
Sure. So we at Ferrum come at DeFi from a bit of a different angle. We're primarily sort of a B2B project in many respects, at least in terms of our staking protocol that we built. So our mission is really to enable projects that want to become truly DeFi or DeFi-esque to in fact be able to do that. So a lot of our client and partner projects are those that are building not necessarily what you would consider like true DeFi protocols or have a DeFi governance token or something. But by coming to Ferrum, we're able to turn their token into a DeFi token, and it sort of tap into the liquidity that you get when you have, say, liquidity mining, or the other incentive structures that you can create around staking solutions. So from our standpoint, we're trying to facilitate projects to come into DeFi, but in doing so, their communities then have access to DeFi products on a white label basis through the project's website. So that was our approach to DeFi. But like Timothea said, I think we're only starting to scratch the surface, especially when you take a broad view of DeFi. And we're looking forward to launching other DeFi products on behalf of Ferrum that will then, of course, white label to our partners as well going forward.
Yeah, fantastic. And Reggie, let me repeat the question for you at the end of it. There's a lot to unpack here, but just at a high level, what are your views on how Gather Network is really working towards the advancement of DeFi as a whole?
For sure, I think it's two things. First and foremost, we're not like as a company, we're not positioned, or even as an ecosystem or network, we're not positioned traditionally as a DeFi product. However, what we do provide is that we provide DeFi companies or projects another way to monetize, right? It adds revenue to them. And that's just because when users come spend time on their platforms, be it whatever it may be, yield farming, APYs, liquidity mining, whatever it may be, they're earning extra revenue. So that's one of the core services we provide. And we see that there's a massive uptick in that. We launched our mainnet, I think, a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, and we were having publishers sign up all the time. And I know we were talking, with YFDAI about getting that onboarded as well. The other aspect is that because Gather is both a layer 1 and layer 2 solution, you're seeing people come with multiple use cases. So we're able to facilitate other projects come and deploy whatever their use case may be. So being DeFi as well, right? Because the layer 2 is designed for multiple use cases and is being designed for that. A good example is we announced our first incubation project, which is called Paid to Go, I think 3 days ago in the metrics as well. So ours, similar to, I would say, how Ian and Ferrum are doing is more as an enabler rather than being at the bleeding or cutting edge.
Mm-hmm. No, it's fantastic. And then obviously, each of you stated exactly why we're partnered with you, and we're excited to already been working with you or turning on our integrations, right now as we speak. And something I mentioned in my keynote is that, we're moving over our DEX SafeSwap over to the Matic network, and but we're still providing liquidity between Uniswap, SafeSwap, and also QuickSwap, which is kind of like the almost like the native partner DEX on the Matic network. But of course, we want to we're going to be plugging in Orion protocol to offer bottomless liquidity through that and through our secondary SSGT liquidity token, and Gather as well. Turning on our website has been updated in the last 8 weeks, and so turning that on and also just conducting more launches with Ferrum Network, and now that we understand kind of how the dynamics work, right? Because it's very interesting, and it's all about timing with launch pads, especially in these kind of markets, and what the market can and cannot take, and how it reacts even for like the best projects. So that being said, we can't really talk about where we're going without kind of first understanding where we've already been in the crypto space. So I want to get into like a little bit of the history of trust and corruption in crypto. So since the onset of Bitcoin, and more even just as famous, the ups and downs of the ICO boom 2017, crypto industry really endured a lot of ebbs and flows and corruption and trust. And as we look back, starting from 2017, and we think about where we are today, there's been a lot of evolution. So that being said, maybe going the other way around, starting with you, Reggie, what are some of the things in your mind that really stand out as major milestones or major events, or just major ongoings that really drove the evolution of global trust and also, distrust in crypto since 2017?
I think the perfect way to start this answer is a meme. I mean, this being crypto and crypto Twitter being one of the most popular mediums out there. 2011, Bitcoin is for nerds. 2012, Bitcoin is for drug dealers. 2013, Bitcoin is for money launderers. 2014 or 2016 or whatever it may be, Bitcoin is for very small companies. And then fast forward to 2021, Bitcoin is for small, El Salvador. So, just to kind of sum that up from where, and just taking 4 years back to where we are now, the kind of adoption and I think the legitimacy crypto as a whole has gotten, and obviously a large part due to Bitcoin. Don't want to offend any maxis or BTC or ETH, or I know they have their tribes. It's been huge, but that doesn't mean there's still a lot of problems with corruption, compliance, or lack of even regulatory clarity. There's still a long way to go. There's so much insider stuff happening, as well, as I'm sure everyone here is aware of. These are things which are not going to make the space more accessible. They need to be fixed over time. But in the last 4 years, look at where we are right now. I mean, at least current market sentiment is like, oh my God, we're at 40,000. I mean, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we topped at 20. We're 2x there. Come on.
Yeah. A great point. Ian, you want to piggyback on that?
Yeah, well, I agree with everything you said, Reggie. And I don't view Bitcoin or blockchain or frankly any technology as inherently good or evil. I mean, it's what people do with it. I think, look, as stewards of this industry, all four of us here on the panel, I think we have an obligation to educate our communities and to some degree try to protect them. Certainly for those of us in the business of incubations, for instance, a lot of what we do involves de-risking people from mistakes they might make, scams that may befall them, or just losing money in the myriad ways you can lose money in crypto. So I think we all have an obligation to try to steer the industry in the right direction, but it's ultimately early days, right? I think we still have a long way to go. We've probably on a panel like this in 3 years from now and being like, can you believe it was only $40,000 then? And you know, only El Salvador was a proponent of using Bitcoin as a sort of a national currency. So I think we're still early days, but you know, the way I look at it is we still have obligation here and now to protect those folks who are just coming into the space, so they don't, you know, they don't hopefully make the same mistakes that we made when we were noobs.
Yeah, absolutely. A little nuanced question for you on this, Timothea. So what do you think over the last, let's say over the last year, 12, 16 months, what are some of the things that really have electrified the growth of crypto and as a whole, but in particular like NFTs and DeFi that we haven't seen before, that was overlooked, or that just wasn't to that stage of evolution yet, that really took 2020 to get to this level we are today?
Well, I think one of the biggest things, and something that a lot of platforms need to address in order to achieve widespread adoption, is user experience. And I think we've seen such a huge growth in swap pools and recently, that due to the fact that it's just so simple to use. I think that before was one of the reasons why people weren't necessarily using decentralized exchanges. I mean, obviously coming from an exchange perspective here, but was because of the poor user experience. So people were more willing to kind of risk their assets on centralized entities. But I think with the growth of more user-friendly platforms, I think that has enabled a lot of people to come into the space. Of course, you know, we've seen the success of Coinbase's IPO. This is obviously one of the simplest exchanges you can use. I feel like the adoption of crypto on a mass scale will only really be achieved when it becomes such a utility that we barely even realize that we're using it. And I feel like we're so far from that, but we're making strides. So I feel like that kind of simplicity, removing the barriers, it has been a big step in bringing a lot of people into the space.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my only thing I would add to that is like, you know, even my own family, like my brother works in tech too, but not in a different type of tech, insurance tech. But when he told me that he started using Swan to have like, you know, kind of weekly drips of purchasing Bitcoin right out of his checking account, and I look up and see Swan, the founder of that company, is actually one of my friends here in Los Angeles. And I was like, wow, things are really coming around full circle. And then, yeah, and then your parents, everyone starts hearing more and more in the news, the good and the bad and the ugly, usually FUD more than anything. But it's all signs that we're onto the right, you know, that everything's still progressing. And you can say what you will with Elon Musk and everybody else. So kind of turning it back to center on DeFi in particular, you know, one of the things that we want to talk about is just staying protected in the space. You know, I think one thing I looked up before our panel here is that according to CipherTrace, a blockchain analytics firm that's quite popular, they said 99% of all crypto fraud schemes in the second half of last year were DeFi rug pulls or exit scams related to DeFi, 99% of them. So, you know, I think we've come a bit of a way since there, but, you know, you're still seeing it on other platforms, and things have kind of migrated somewhat also from Uniswap to, you know, BSC, you know, PancakeSwap and things like that. So, and, you know, in fact, YFDAI was born out of, you know, kind of a promise and a mission to rid the space of illegitimate projects and have transparency, security, and trust as the foundations of the project of bridging the worlds of decentralized, you know, of decentralized networks and social finance. So all that being said, what are some of the things that you feel that new entrants into DeFi, because I think there's a good amount of people in crypto, but there's still like a large number that haven't really even scratched the surface of getting their feet wet in DeFi. So what are some of the things that new entrants into DeFi in particular can do in order to protect themselves from being the victim of rug pulls or exit scams or identity, or even further, identity theft? We're seeing a lot of that in Telegram and other mediums. Even being able to steal your MetaMask, you know, access without knowing it. Next thing you know, you're depleted. So that being said, Ian, maybe I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think each one of those problems has a unique solution, but as sort of a blanket statement, think before you act is probably going to save you a lot of money at the end of the day. Like, think of all the times you may have wanted to ape into a new project that you didn't know a thing about because it was started at a $50,000 market cap and I'm going to get rich tomorrow. And then it rug pulled, right? Or how many times did you think that like someone messaged you on Telegram and they promised you this and that, you end up giving them your keys to your MetaMask and your money's gone. Like, so just think before you act. But I think it also comes down to, again, like I was saying before, those who have been in the space for long enough to have experienced, like I've been scammed before. I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit it. It happens to the best of us. It's on us to educate those who are coming into the space. Like, no, these are the pitfalls. This is what can go wrong. And certainly projects like YFDAI, I think, are at the forefront of that. So we definitely applaud you. But all of us have a degree of obligation to help educate and protect those who are just coming in. Because otherwise, yes, mass adoption will be very hard if everyone just keeps thinking you go to crypto, you're gonna get scammed, right? So we need to move away from that into a more positive, I think, environment. But it happens slowly, right? So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, that's great. Obviously, sure. I think we all share that same sentiment. Timothea, you have any other kind of thoughts on this?
I would echo everything you said, Ian. But I also want to pick up on the fact that the role that we play too in that, because as much as we talk about decentralization and everyone should be responsible for their own funds, I still think that we as entities in this space have a responsibility to whether it be education or the so there's so many different companies coming out now providing decentralized insurance options, for example. So we're working with Insured Finance, Bridge Mutual, and Poker Cover, and they offer protection against rug pulls, against. Oh, I don't know if it just cut out there for me, but so yeah, they offer insurance coverage for smart contract exploits, rug pulls. And also, I think a really important one for us too is despite the fact that we are decentralized and we're not holding any funds, we're quite unique in we are enabling people to trade using centralized liquidity. So it was important for us to work with Poker Cover to provide a decentralized insurance cover for centralized exchange hacks in the unlikely event that they occur. But for us, although we can't control what other people do with their funds or the security of connected exchanges, we want to make sure that we protect our users' funds when they are interacting with the terminal, at least. So.
No, and yeah, I think that's fantastic, because it's, even if you're like, hey, you're just an enabler of the transactions of whatever it is, liquidity, any type of transaction between, almost serve as a decentralized intermediary. Just by doing your part, is invaluable to building trust and reputation among others that look into it. And I think more and more so in the industry, you're going to see more, companies or more alliances come together, be like, hey, we're for trust, security, transparency by being part of this blockchain security alliance or things like that. Just so we can, see more of that mass adoption. I think insurance is definitely an area that is just beginning as well, and is going to delve into a lot of different areas beyond just insurance on transactions. Reggie, what are your thoughts on all this?
I think from what was just said, the insurance aspect is definitely very, very key for multiple different threat vectors. But I'm going to take more of a sideline here, and us as organizations, as companies, thought leaders, whatever you want to term it, yes, we definitely have a responsibility about market education to our own users, to our investors, whoever it may be. But the people who've been here for the first or have been through a bear market, they already know what to watch out for, right? It's the people that are coming in right now who have seen, I don't know, what was it, Safe Moon? I think it was Safe Moon, or stuff like that has gone 100x, 200x. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna get a purple Lambo or some crap, and they come into crypto. They find some random Telegram shiller or someone on Twitter, and they follow their calls, and boom, they've lost $5,000. They've lost their college education savings. So my point here is, I think people with large amounts of influence in this space, they have a greater responsibility. be it influencers, be it personalities, celebrities. We are just companies and projects, and in all honesty, stewards, and we can do our best. But in reality, the new people are coming from media and all these places. These people have a very large responsibility about what they're promoting and how they're promoting. Of course, there have been things that have been going around, but I might what's the saying, step on some people's toes who might be listening, but it's the honest truth, right? We want to go further. We want more adoption. How it's done in the right manner, and protecting
users
is, I think, very, very, very key.
Yep, exactly. Sometimes, yeah, great point. Yeah, sometimes it'll be at the expense of your own wallet, or what have you. So, especially if you're an influencer. But so that being said, I know we have time, I think, for a couple more questions. So I wanted to get into another key area I wanted to cover here, which was around the delivery of consistent value and how great communication and value creation really builds trust with the community. As you can see, time and time again, once you start building that trust, people become very recognizable. Everyone knows, the founders or some founding team member of Ethereum, Cardano, Celsius, Polkadot, and then building that type of trust and that type of name and credibility is really priceless in the space, right? Because people are going to start following those people to whatever project that they're working on or whether they're advising or anything else like that, because they've already built a reputation of success and transparency to whatever extent, and that can be really be defensible in brand reputation of anything that they touch and anything that they do. So with that being said, in what ways do you all, do each of you see the best DeFi projects, standing apart from the rest, while building trust with their growing community? And I'll start, Reggie, I'll start back with you on this one.
YFDAI.
What about YFDAI?
I mean, the way you guys, I think when I was first introduced to you guys, one of the things that really, really stood out,
and I'm going to raise my hand. This was not a planted question.
You paid him.
I think one of the things that really, really stood out, which we incorporated, is your transparency reports. I think a lot of companies, a lot of projects, I refer to projects as companies. The way you guys handle transparency is laudable. That is really going to add up in the long term. But for, let's say, more legacy projects, I'm going to go with Polkadot.
Yeah. Okay. And why Polkadot?
From the perspective of, okay, it's up and coming right now, and I'm going to be talking not really on fundamentals, but more of where the market is coming from, right? We have other competitors, let's say Solana, which right now I know, the saying is Solana season, all that crap. I feel Polkadot's a real, what's the word? Underdog right now. You have a lot of things being built on it, and to come. Yeah.
Yep. That's great. No worries. Yeah, I'm a big Polkadot fan myself as well. Just personally. Yeah, Ian. So, what are your thoughts on this? What do you see that the best DeFi projects are doing, standing out from the rest, and building trust and trust for themselves as they grow their community?
Well, I think it's a great question because I view DeFi. I know it's called decentralized finance, right? But I think a lot of times people want to follow a charismatic leader. That's sort of inherent in human beings, right? And so the most successful DeFi projects actually have a figurehead, right? Obviously, Ethereum is the prime example with Vitalik, but look at Yearn Finance with Andre Kronjig. Those are two guys who are able to establish trust, provide value, and just consistently deliver, so that people ultimately follow them. And I don't know if Ethereum would be where it is today without Vitalik as the figurehead, right? So I think it just goes to show that despite we're decentralized and right, you don't need to trust anybody, we're still all people at the end of the day, and so that you're never going to completely remove that need for some degree of trust, right? So that's my take on it. I'm sure there's countless examples. Obviously, YFDAI and work with you, Simon, has been tremendous. But those are the two guys that came to my mind when you asked the question.
Yeah, no, that's great. And Timothea, what do you think? I mean, outside of what's already been mentioned, is there anything else that like you feel that great DeFi projects are consistently delivering on that maybe is overlooked, or something that people don't really think about? Like, oh yeah, that is the reason why, Compound has grown where it has, or others.
Well, I suppose speaking from a broader sense, without going into its project in particular, I feel like the leaders in the space haven't shied away from discussing the good and the bad. So, I think because for the most part we are in uncharted territories, delays and unexpected roadblocks are bound to pop up. And I feel like the difference that effectively communicating the good alongside the bad makes is really what makes the difference in building up the trust with the community. I think it's a valuable lesson probably for everyone in the space to learn, that we've had to learn it ourselves. Because I think the crypto community, above any other community that I can think of, are so hyper aware, hyper informed, and hyper vigilant. And you talk about people. I feel like they're so wary of what they're investing, what projects they're investing in, but also as you said, that the people that they're investing in. And perhaps that is because we do have some seasoned kind of vets who've been scammed, rug pulled, have experienced this before, and therefore are kind of wary, and having that figurehead perhaps gives them this level of comfort to kind of support a project.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All great questions, and I agree with everyone, what everyone said, especially the YFDAI bits. So no, but no, this is fantastic. We're going to be pulling the plug here too. So just, if I can just get like one sentence, two sentences from you, Max, in this next final question, is really where do you see our space going? Where do you see DeFi going in the next, being the DeFi Summit in the next 12 to 18 months? Are there key enablers that are going to help grow DeFi bigger? Is it the likes of fintech, like PayPal and Square and others? Or is it more so nuanced, like NFTs in combination with DeFi are going to unlock some new value that hasn't been seen before? So just thinking like that. Let's say next 12 months, where do you see DeFi headed? Reggie, let's go ahead with you.
I'm going to take like a middle ground scenario here. If we're able to get the support of large fintech players like we have already with, let's say, PayPal, etc., and it keeps going, we're going to start seeing DeFi specifically taking market share from traditional TradeFi, if you will, right? I see that happening, but that's only if fintech players, because they are essentially the bridge in this whole situation, because it's very clear TradeFi doesn't like us at all, right? Mm-hmm. At least most of them. I see a good chunk of market share being taken from TradeFi, but as long as we get that support.
That's great. Yeah, Ian, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm predicting two trends in the next, say, 6 to 12 months with respect to DeFi. One being the rise of DeFi protocols on alternative, newer chains. So you're going to see, and you're already seeing a lot of DeFi migrating over to Polygon. I think you're going to see it moving to Solana, Polkadot when it launches, Cardano when it launches, right? So that's a huge trend we're going to see. The other thing that I'm already starting to see sort of in the incubator world, where we focus a lot on early stage projects, is the intersection of gaming and DeFi. That I think is going to be a big trend coming up. That's a natural fit between the products. Imagine what you're playing games, you want to buy something, a skin or whatever. I don't play video games, but they tell me they're skins. You want to buy them. Okay, now you can do it decentralized through one of these DeFi protocols. Maybe one of these high-speed new ones that are coming. So I think it's great. Those are the two big trends I'm predicting. Much better than meme coins. Hopefully, we're done with those.
We'll see.
If I'm wrong, I could be wrong. We could go back into a meme coin summer.
Yeah. Hey, we have U.S. politicians coming out with their own NFTs, so you never know what's going to happen.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Timothea, if you want to do the final answer.
So, I mean, my point is kind of in the same vein as Reggie's. I think that it's not just about traditional finance liking us or wanting to work with us. We have to provide a regulatory and compliant gateway to DeFi, which is so difficult because it's, they are the kind of antithesis of each other. But there are a number of projects working on doing this. So I feel like we'll see a lot. Obviously, I feel like it will be a slow move, but a step towards that kind of merging of those two worlds. And ultimately, I think a successful decentralized finance system won't be measured by its ability to exist separately to these traditional financial entities anyway. So it's kind of taking those stepping stones and collaborating and acting as an intermediary between the world consumers know and the world of DeFi. So I think, yeah, we'll see a lot in the next kind of 16 months in terms of traditional finance coming into the space, providing we can enable that essentially.
Yeah, yeah, and then we'll see how regulation follows, or usually follows rather than leads beyond that. So, thank you all so much. This concludes our panel. It's been fantastic. Thank you for that extra moment, Michael and Justin from DeFi Summit, and we'll be talking again. Hope to join you on the next second annual summit, hopefully before next year.